So, they don't hide their agendas as far as what they plan on doing, but you can see the format, how it looks like a bunch of computers. This is how they're trying to have people hooked up in the future. That one's not coming out clear. Positive influencing one's neighbor, donating blood, you get points. Praising the government on social media, posting anti-government messages on social media. Boom, that drops you down. So we can see, and this is all going to be done digitally or electronically. There's not going to be actual money involved. For total data control. So how can they know if you're being sincere in an apology or not? That's the point that I want to get across. How can they know if you're being sincere in an apology or not? But they're going to use the jab, the juice, and they're going to most likely couple that with Bitcoin, with cryptocurrencies. And they're seeking to push the U.S. out of that trading deal because, they're trying to basically take any power from the U.S. But we know that the U.S. doesn't have any power. It's the people that control the U.S., the wicked elite, and they control China as well. What the heck? Y'all give me a second. My computer just did something. There we go. But, cases break. Elephant and Castle resident. Y'all bear with me here a second. Just looking up a couple news articles. The Lord is getting ready to judge this place. I had just mentioned cryptocurrency. Oh, give me a second. Alright. Revealed crypto queen, 13.5 euro London penthouse. So this is a penthouse that this woman purchased. A money laundering trial in Germany is shining a light on the purchase of a luxury London penthouse by cryptocurrency scammer Dr. Ruza Ignatova, Jamie Bartlett and Rob Byrne of the Missing Crypto King podcast explain how she used British-based lawyers and wealth managers who continued to offer their services after she disappeared. And just a quick clip. You always hear about whoever these people are. Our Lord tells us the name of the wicked shall rot. So they're not really two predominant figures as far as who these peoples are. I could care less about those, that dragon that was Roth, the Roth dragon. Me personally, I call him something else, but for the sake of the listeners, so I don't get flagged, I'm not gonna use too many creative names. Mom's agony after discovering her dead daughter was raped 3 times by killer who abused 100 bodies. This is getting ready to be happening in a good amount of places, you know, and this is going to be happening to the wicked. So you people out there who are on the seat, oh, I don't know if I want to fully come into the truth. Hey, the Lord is getting ready to judge this place. What did it say in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 7? Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out the way. So the wicked elite are ready for shit like this to be happening all over the place. I didn't even go to a couple of these other sites. I just came on Google because, you know, just getting a brief explanation of things. But the wicked aren't going to be in control of it. The Lord is going to put the spirit on people everywhere to go batshit crazy. Elephant and Castle Fire. Residents forced to flee tower block blaze in South London. 3 floors of a tower block were evacuated when a fire broke out on the 18th floor. Around 60 crew and 8 fire engines raced to the building in Elephant Castle, South London, where flames were seen consuming a balcony as thick black smoke billowed out. So just to get a quick point, y'all give me a second here. Give me a second. I'm finna try to... But, I'm finna get into the scripture here in a second. I'm just making something to be able to sit the phone on and, get the computer. Give me a second. Right here it says, Vidco, who warns Europe once again at epicenter of pandemic. Europe is once again at the epicenter of the Vidco pandemic. The Shalakia, who has warned as cases soar across the continent. So they're trying to big it up to seem like it's really some big pandemic. But you could see here that this woman just had her child, and they're forcing her to take the blackout, you know. But eventually it's going to be so that you can't leave the hospital with your child unless you have the blackout, which is why I had mentioned, you know, if you are thinking about having a child or getting ready to have a child, if you can find some type of home birth sequences to where you can bring a healthy child into this earth at home, the Lord would be behind you if you're following his law, statutes, and commandments and seeking him and living as holy people, godly people. This is not for, I'm not, you know, Shalakia. You gonna have a nigga smoking a blunt saying, oh, this nigga told me that the Lord would. Well, look at what you're doing. If you're doing things that are ungodly, the Lord isn't going to support you, you know. The Lord simply, the Lord tells us that he reserves all for himself, even the wicked for the day of judgment. So you can't be half-assing it in this truth. And most of these numbers are fabricated, and most of these numbers are the deaths that happen from the juice bar. And it's more than what they post. But as I said, most of these numbers are what happened, are the numbers of the deaths from the juice bar. Y'all give me a second. And not to accuse, but just to use Shalakia, discernment. They're not going to tell you all the things that they're really doing behind closed doors, but they're going to try to scare you into believing that there's a virus that's killing everybody and that they're trying to help you when they're not. We constantly say, the devil never changed, he just changed his outfit. So now instead of having the average slave master outfit on, he may have a doctor's uniform or a suit. Have a suit, you know, suit and tie. He may look like a thug, you know, because a lot of these rappers that are posted up work for the devil, whether you know it or not. The so-called white man, they work for the so-called white man. And they say it openly. Look at what happened with DMX. Look at what Snoop Dogg used to be all about. You know. Look at Kanye. Speaking all of these you know, songs, putting that frequency into the earth. But you can search their early career and just listen to the music, and you could tell that they're talking about the so-called white man. And how they basically been coerced into being a part of all their rituals. So now the so-called white man uses them as a means to influence the mass. Alright. As I said, I'm trying to make a little stand for it. That should be good. But these are the numbers, not to accuse, but these numbers are falsified. This is all fraud. This is not true information. You know, you can go to your neighborhood. You know, you can live your day-to-day basis and see ain't nobody really getting sick like that. So if no one's getting sick, then where are these deaths coming from? It must come from, you know, what they're trying to coerce people into taking. Judgments like this, they're getting ready to, take effect in the earth. Mother given life sentence for killing 5 of her children. And she looks young. But the spirits, 28. But the spirits on people are getting ready to be riled up. All of the wicked satanic rituals that people do. Hey, all the pennies that people have been putting in the red man's pot are getting ready to take effect. So this is why it's good to seek the Lord while he may be found, so that you can actually do things that please the Lord and ask him to take those spirits off of you. It'll get you out of that mess. You can see this top one right here. My site that I'm getting this info from is CNN. And I'm getting it so that I can use it for teaching. I'm not using this information for money. Some shit like that would pop up. I'm not using it for money, but this reads: satellite photos raise concerns of Russian military buildup near Ukraine. And notice it said near Ukraine. And we know that Russia has been basically bullying on Ukraine. And the U.S. isn't able to hold all these alliances because the U.S. is that whore. Shalakia, the U.S. is wandering. Basically, it's caused all these nations to wander after the whore. And that whore is that American dream. So these nations that made an alliance with the U.S. thought that the U.S. was good and that their word was bond. Only to find out that the U.S. was a dry illusion in the desert. Report, Shalakia, CNN, once more tensions are rising in Ukraine. Reports that the Russians are moving military hardware some 250 kilometers from the border have raised eyebrows in Washington. And Ukraine forces have deployed combat drones along the battle lines that separate them from pro-Russian separatists in the Donbas region, the front lines of the conflict, a standoff stretching hundreds of miles from the northern Ukraine to the Sea of Azov, have barely moved in 5 years. Satellite imagery has shown Russian hardware, including self-propelled guns. So the brothers had touched on it. A lot of these militaries have self-propelled weaponry. So they even got robot dogs, like dog drones that can run, and they got a gun mounted on the back of them, filled with ammo. And they ain't got no emotion. They could just take you out and keep it moving. But we're seeing them using their AI technology with the military a lot more. Including self-propelled guns, battle tanks, and infantry fighting vehicles on the move at a training ground roughly 186 miles from the border. But Ukraine's defense ministry said Monday it had recorded no additional transfer of Russian units, weapons, and military equipment to the border of Ukraine. So they always say, "Oh, we have no proof of this. We don't know what you're talking about," as far as their moves go. On Tuesday, the defense ministry said an estimate 90,000 Russian troops were located near the border and in the temporary temporarily occupied territories, as well as in the Black Sea. Ukraine's defense ministry added that Russia had established a practice of transferring and accumulating military units for the purpose of maintaining tension in the region and political pressure on neighboring countries. So, and you can see here, armored units and support equipment in Yenya, Russia. So you can see here, this is the equipment that they had been, speaking of moving or whatever the case may be. But, we see Big Fart is still trying to bully all these countries. And I went straight to Taiwan because Taiwan is in alliance with China. And we know that China had been bullying Taiwan for a minute. Oh, there we go. And China had even went as far to say that the U.S. better not get involved. China plans to force Taiwan to negotiating table by 2027. So China is trying to force Taiwan to the negotiating table. And Taiwan has resources. They got something there that they had been speaking about. I'm not gonna wrestle with myself to try to remember it, but Taiwan does have something that that China wants as far as their resources go, which is why the U.S. is in alliance with them. But you can see how close Taiwan is to China. So if the U.S. is in alliance and the U.S. Can post military equipment in Taiwan, that would give them a straight line of action to China. So when World War III pops off, it'd be nothing for, the U.S. to shoot missiles on China, which is why China is trying to negotiate with Taiwan, as well as Japan. And we see how South Korea and North Korea both went to Russia and China. They both came over to Russia and China, but or went over, I should say. But that's what China is trying to get Taiwan and Japan to do now. But I'm simply going to skim through a couple of these topics for the listeners out there to get somewhat familiar with what's going on in the States. Now, give me a second. All right. I'm also going to be getting into the tribes. So I'm going to be looking up news in some of these countries as well, where our brothers and sisters are. You got the brothers in Barbados, you got the brothers in Jamaica, the Bahamas. Hey, that's the spirit. That's the spirit, Shalakia. I accidentally just let my phone slip off the stair. But when all hell, hey, you got the brothers in London. So, the Lord has that hedge of protection over us. It's not like the Lord is just going to make all hell break loose and he's not going to, make sure we're stable. Same way if you got a woman, you tell that woman, look, I got you, don't trip, I'm going to protect you. That's what the Lord tells us in the scripture time and time again. So we're not worried about when all hell breaks loose. We're actually waiting for it. But you got the brothers in London. There's brothers all over the place. But they're not worried about what could possibly happen. They're making lessons. They're making lessons edifying and, somewhat reporting and letting brothers here in the U.S. know what's getting ready to take place. I'm just making the stand a little bit higher so that it can U.S. Coast Guard, one of most effective forces for safeguarding Taiwan. The U.S. Coast Guard can play an outstanding role in deterring China from attacking Taiwan. And could even help to deter the country from such an attack, according to a new opinion article put out by 2 American experts on Monday. U.S. Coast Guard's closest base to Taiwan is Guam, located in USGA, recently relocated a cutter vessel to the base of Guam, bringing a total of 3 to the express intent of countering aggressive moves by China. U.S. Republicans Shalakia. U.S. Republicans want billions of Taiwan. Shalakia. U.S. Republicans want billions for Taiwan military aid to counter China. So who are they going to get these billions of dollars from? Where are these U.S. $1 billion going to come from? And you see how the U.S. just fell out with France and the U.K. to go over to Australia. But Australia is talking about being a part of a trade alliance with China. China clearly developing ability to invade Taiwan, top general says. National News. So, and we know that China is talking about increasing its artillery to over 1,000 warheads here shortly. But when they talk about putting planes into action, most likely they've already hit that number and proceeded it. You know, if I got money in my pocket, I'm gonna downplay how much money I got in my pocket because I don't want people to be looking at me like, yo, let's go after him. He has money. So they're most likely downplaying how many warheads they actually have. And we know that one missile is able to carry like 30 warheads. And you got Iran and Russia both looking at the U.S. and laughing at them. So there's really no, so to speak, big brother that's stopping these countries from enriching their uranium. And Iran doesn't like the U.S. or those 1948ers in the land of Israel that are eating from the U.S. So Iran is ready to go off on the whore. U.S. denies Iran's claim that American Navy attempted to steal a tanker full of oil. Iranian claims that U.S. tried to detain tanker. False. Pentagon. U.S. official claims Iran seized oil tanker. Says U.S. military just monitored incidents. So the U.S. always got their hands in some shit. Iran won't back down as nuclear talks resume. Tehran isn't looking to compromise. Russia and Iran hold military cooperation meeting in Tehran. So Russia, China, and Iran holds nationwide Air Force drill, latest armed exercise. But the U.S. always got their hands in somebody else's shit, trying to tell them what they can and can't do. But we know that those military drills that Iran and Russia was holding was with China as well. And you've seen China speaking about upgrading their military to about 1,000 warheads. And Russia had boasted about how their military is 80% modernized. So 80% of their missiles and military equipment is all up-to-date equipment. And if Russia has 80% up to date, then most likely Iran does. And you can see how China just let off a missile that went across the earth, and it went undetected. So all three of these countries are pushing for the goal, which is, hey, we know what the goal is, but they think something else. The U.S. has no plan B on Iranian nukes. Israel does. Hey, Israel's plan B is to get blown up. Speaking of those 1948ers that are in Israel. Iran won't stop until it has a nuclear weapon. So right now they're producing uranium, and they have underground cities full of missiles. But they're trying to basically tighten those bonds on Iran so that they can't produce missiles. China has upped nuke production. It worried U.S. won't start war before 2020 election. China has upped production. It worried U.S. would start war before 2020 election. Report says. A new Pentagon report says then Defense Secretary Mark Esper directed Gen Mark Milley make controversy call to a Chinese general prior to the U.S. election.